So the other day I saw James Gunn's new Superman movie, and my hype going into this movie was probably way too high, but I did end up enjoying it quite a bit. It brought back that hopeful Superman, the whole point of the character really that we really haven't seen much, especially since like the 2010s with like Injustice, and like I like Injustice, but it really did do damage. And we get like, of course these aren't Superman characters and they're from earlier on, but around this time we got the show for the boys and Homelander and stuff like that, and then we got Omni-Man and the Invincible adaptation, and it's just been a lot of Superman would be more interesting if he was evil, or like more I don't know, you gotta make him cool, like you gotta make Henry Cavill like super cool, and that's never been the point. The point of Superman is that he is like the archetype, he is the superhero. He embodies all these values that, yeah, may now feel like cliches, but honestly, now a character just wanting to do good and be a good person, it doesn't feel like a cliche anymore. It feels like a refreshing, to be honest. We have to make everything so emotionally complex. And of course, that's great in a lot of situations and scenarios, like giving characters depth, giving villains some like relatability, some motivation. That's all good. But sometimes, especially in such a gray world, we need a reminder that sometimes just doing the right thing. Doing the right thing is always the right thing to do, and it feels like, we get so bogged down in like our own rules and societal norms, and everything has gotten so political, everything is politicized, and just being a good person should just be the right thing for both sides of the political spectrum. But right now, it doesn't really feel like that. So this movie coming out really did make me feel hope, and that's what you want to feel at the end of like walking out the theater of a Superman movie. But regardless, that's not what I'm here to talk about today. After this movie, I wanted to think about some of my favorite characters and teams and stuff that I want to see done properly in the DCU, because I feel like a lot of my favorite things in DC Comics haven't even been attempted to be properly adapted in live action. That's why I'm super excited for this new era, this new age of DC movies. It looks like Superman's doing super well in the box office, so it's looking like we might be here for a while, which I'm really, really stoked for. So let's start with one of my favorite characters who has not been done justice whatsoever in live action, outside of maybe a couple good decent seasons of television, and that's the Flash. Now, the Flash is my favorite superhero, particularly Wally West, and a lot of people in the modern day attribute a lot of the things they like about Barry Allen to, they were things that Wally West really brought to the character, because Grant Gustin's portrayal in the CW, a lot of that was just taken from Wally West. They even gave him a bunch of villains from, if you're gonna do 7 seasons of television and you're adapting a character like the Flash, you're gonna need to pull from other places for some villains, but you know what I mean. Like, they gave him a lot of the personality and the bits and pieces, and like, I've always found, I love Barry Allen too, by the way, but I've always found that he was more interesting when he was just a classic Silver Age do-gooder, and he wasn't like emotionally scarred or anything like that. He was just doing the right thing, and he sacrificed himself to save the world, and then he's this large shadow that looms over Wally, and it's all about legacy, and that's like the main theme of DC, at least since the 80s. It feels like legacy and moving forward, not trying to get swallowed by it. Because Wally, for the longest time in his comic run, he's struggling with this large looming shadow of his mentor, saved the entire multiverse, basically sacrificed himself. Like, how do you live up to that? And so, he was purposefully like not going as fast as he could. He didn't want to, subconsciously, he didn't want to surpass his mentor. And then, you know, he moves forward. He grows up. Unlike so many characters in comic books, he is allowed to grow, and he gets married. He has kids. They get powers. He is like a family man. He grows from this impulsive teenager to a seasoned Justice Leaguer. And it's a really satisfying character arc, and it's so good because he was allowed to grow. And I feel like some of that really was taken away when they brought back Barry. But all of this to say, I'd really like for Wally West to be the DCU's Flash. I think it would help us, the public, distance ourselves a little bit from the Ezra Miller of it all, because, you know, that movie made me mad. And it's just like, it would help make it more easy for, I think, audiences to digest after that movie. And I feel like the only people that liked that movie were just there for Michael Keaton. It was a Batman movie, really, to be honest. Yeah, I think that would be good. I think starting with Wally, especially since this universe is supposed to be a bit more established already. I think optimally, like, yeah, make him younger than Superman. I think Superman is like 30 in the movie, if I'm remembering the crawl at the beginning right. And I think having Wally be like a younger upstart, maybe he's like 17, 18 or something, or at least like, you know, very early 20s. And then he can learn from that. Like maybe his mentor, obviously, I don't think anything to the extent of Crisis should have happened in this universe at this point. I think we would have heard about it. and like, I like having it be established so we don't have to see a bunch of origins all over. But I think, I mean, in Wally's case, we need to see his origin because, you know, the general public doesn't really know anything about him. I mean, he was the Flash in the cartoon, the Justice League cartoon from the early 2000s, but like the people that watched that are old now. Like I'm older, and I was a little young for it too. I barely even watched it as a kid. I think that would be really cool. And there's so many stories. Please, I'm so sick of Flashpoint. Flashpoint is not the only Flash comic, and it's not even that great, to be honest. I'm not a huge fan of the Barry losing his mom to Reverse Flash thing. I think it makes Reverse Flash cooler, but I think I feel like Barry should just be dead, to be honest. Because he's a great character. I'm not saying I don't like him, but he makes Wally better by being dead. Return of Barry Allen is a great story. I mean, there's Chain Lightning, there's really anything from Mark Waid. The Jeff Johns run is great too. Those stories are so good. I think that would be really cool. And I'm just thinking, like, looking at my comic rack, like, Kingdom Come would be so cool to see. Even though it's in Elseworlds, maybe in like, if we're still here in like 20 years, you know, maybe we can do Kingdom Come in the main continuity, and just, that would be beautiful. But other than that, I mean, I think that's about it for Flash. I just think, yeah, introduce Wally and then slowly build out his family as the movies go on. It'll be a really satisfying arc. He can be younger than the rest of the heroes, or most of them. And it would introduce the Speed Force and like really go into the depth with the lore, just stuff like that, you know? And then I think that would make me really happy, like happier than anything else, man. Like the CW Flash, Grant Gustin was a lot better than Ezra Miller, and I loved that first couple seasons, and that's what got me into DC Comics, actually. So I owe a lot to that show, but we haven't really seen an accurate Flash in live action. I'd really like to see that. And I'd love to see some Barry too, if it was in like flashbacks. I mean, I think that would be essential for introducing Wally, but I think starting with Wally would be a really good idea. I think I'll go on to, I'll go Green Lanterns now. So we have that show announced, Lanterns, which apparently is going to be kind of True Detective. He says grounded and gritty, but I think James Gunn clarified that he means more like, not because they have like, you know, powers that are like from cosmic rings, they're it's not grounded in the sense of reality as much as he said it's more in their characters, like their John and Hal's relationship, backstory, and whatever. I mean, we don't know much. We've seen the picture of two men walking in a street, which was kind of a weird thing to tease. I feel like James Gunn's era of DC, they're kind of having some pretty bad teaser shots. Like the first reveal of Superman's suit was kind of not the best, but I think now I can put to rest the fear a little bit, at least with projects that James Gunn is like super duper working on. So for Green Lanterns, yeah, I think starting with Hal and John and Guy is good. And I personally don't have a huge problem with Hal being older. I know he's usually around Superman and Batman's age. I guess John is like the new blood kind of, and he's like getting used to stuff. And then Guy's probably been around. He seemed like he'd been around for a while in the Superman movie. But I think, yeah, start with these three. I really want to see more space stuff. I really hope that the movie or the show probably can't go to Oa too much, but the coolest stuff about Green Lantern is always pretty much the space stuff, all the cosmic DC stuff, establishing that side of the universe. I think we're gonna get a little bit of that. We have to, I think, especially since Green Lantern isn't like as much in the public conscious as like Superman. Like, we don't need to see his origin again, but Green Lantern we probably do. At least for John. Yeah, I think that's good. I think we'll start a little bit because it's a TV show, so it probably doesn't have as high of a budget as like a movie would. But we really need to get into like crazy space shit. I think like other Lantern Corps, like the Corps Wars, and like the Blackest Night would be so cool as a movie. I think it would be amazing. That's like the best DC event. There aren't that many great DC events, to be honest. Marvel kind of has them beat in the comics for that. I'm more of a DC person, but for that they do. I think we do that. We spend time with these three, but Kyle Rayner is my favorite Green Lantern, mostly because he's an artist and he is more creative with his constructs, and I think that's just cool, like the way he uses powers, and he's friends with Wally, which would also be cool to see. Like, he's got to be a little bit younger. I think, yeah, just introducing him. Maybe if they do a Green Lantern movie, maybe the second movie after the show. I think we need a little bit of time to get used, because there's already 3 Lanterns in this universe, and we want to differentiate them and characterize them and have them have some time to shine. But I really hope they don't do it. They'll probably end up doing Emerald Twilight, but I hope they do it better than the comics did. That's all I'm gonna say. Where Hal goes evil, and it ended up being retconned by Jeff Johns in a really good retcon, in my opinion. I think that him going crazy was kind of garbage. Some older heads think that it was a good thing, but either way, that's how you get Kyle usually. So I'd be down for that, I guess, if it was done properly. But yeah, I guess that's it for Green Lantern. I think just hopefully this show is really good, and because I'm dying to see good Green Lantern in live action. Like, that movie was garbage, and it's been oh my god, 2011. How long ago was that? I was 14. Wait. Actually, 14 years is crazy. Yeah, just seeing that, because DC, some of the best DC comics are Green Lantern comics, I think. And like the history and all of it, it's so good. So please, let's get some more of that. Please, I really hope this show is good and successful, because I need it. I need it now. I guess next up, I'll briefly talk on Wonder Woman, because for Wonder Woman's her comics, there are some good ones. George Perez. I personally like a lot of the Tom King run that's going on right now. I know a lot of people don't. I think, honestly, if there's a way, I don't know, at least like the vibe, I kind of want them to take more of the vibe of the Absolute Wonder Woman. I don't know if that's like heretical to say. I just really like her with like the Buster Sword and more like magic stuff going on. I think that's more interesting, making her more of like a badass. Like, she was, the Gal Gadot one, she did badass stuff sometimes, but also get a better actress. I'm just saying. The Kal-El no. Make her strong, important to the universe, but also interesting. And just, I don't know, make better movies than Wonder Woman 84. I guess that's all I have to say. I haven't read like a ton of Wonder Woman comics. I've read a lot of comics with Wonder Woman in them, but I think as a pillar of the DC universe, she needs to be done well. That first Wonder Woman movie was good, but better actress, more focus, and also just, I don't know, not just showing up to be a cameo in every movie and actually doing stuff. So that's that, I guess. I think use more of the I want them to use more of like the Greek aspect of her character. It's more interesting, and it would help world build. I know they're doing this Amazon show or whatever, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be like hundreds of years before everything else really going on. And I think that could be interesting as long as it's done well, if it's based on that comic. I forget what it's called. I haven't read it, but I've heard from lots of people that I respect that it's really good. I know for a fact they have like good inspiration I just want it to be something important to the universe, so that people, I guess, so that people can care about it. Because if it is hundreds of years before all the other stuff we're gonna see, you know, there is like kind of that. I don't want, like, I personally will care. I like seeing really anything in the DC universe as long as it's handled well. If it's a good story, I'll love it. But I understand that other more casual audiences might skip it if it's not a little bit important to the rest of stuff, or if it doesn't like kind of establish Wonder Woman a little bit. Like, I guess would see a lot of her mom, Hippolyta, in the show probably, since she's like hundreds of years old. So I think that would be cool. But yeah, I mean, for Wonder Woman, she has to be important, and she just needs good movies. I don't really have much else to say. I wish I knew more about good comics that she's been in, but yeah, other than that, I guess that's Wonder Woman. Next up, I guess Bat Family, or Robins in general, because I mean, we don't have Batman yet, and it's kind of up in the air if we're getting the Matt Reeves stuff folded in with Robert Pattinson, or if we're getting a new Batman. I mean, I think we're gonna get a new Batman. I don't know how great of an idea that is personally, having two live action Batman at the same time, especially since, you know, before people were like, oh, you'll be able to differentiate them better. Like, one of them's going to be more campy and like fun and in the broader universe, and then the other one's going to be more dark and gritty and grounded. But it seems like from recent comments that James Gunn kind of wants him to be kind of like Robert Pattinson's Batman, like really grounded, gritty, and maybe not as grounded, like probably, I mean, he's gonna be in a universe with like flying people and other stuff like aliens and stuff. But I also think starting with Damian as Robin is kind of like, I don't know, I like Damian as Robin, and I think that's a cool story to tell for sure. I guess I'll have to see it. I do like seeing some of that like development. I mean, we've never seen Dick Grayson as Robin in live action. I think that would be cool, but I think we're gonna just likely start off with Nightwing, and that'll be fine. I mean, as long as it's handled well, I'm cool with it. But I do think we're missing out on a lot of stories, and it's kind of weird if Batman is like significantly older than Superman. I guess he could still be about around 30 if he's on his fourth Robin, but just, we haven't seen Robin done well in live action at all. Like, outside of like the 66 show, like, I mean, Robin in that is, I mean, that's like the campy stuff, but like, that's Robin in that era done well. But like, you know, like the Schumacher films, no, that's not, no, he's bad, he sucks, hell no. I mean, Batman Forever is all right, I guess, but you know, Batman and Robin is horrible. Like, adapt these characters. I want to see these characters. I want to see them interact with each other. I hope if they're starting with Damian, I do want them to incorporate at least the backstory of Jason Todd. I mean, we need to see some flashbacks or something if we're gonna end up doing Red Hood. I don't think starting with Red Hood would be a good idea. There's too much there. Like, there's too much story there. It would be so weird if we're just like, oh, that's Red Hood, he was my second Robin and he died and then he came back and then he wanted to kill me, but now he's fine and we're cool and he's on my team, and like, yeah, we're all good and all is forgiven. Like, I don't know, man. I think that's a lot to put on a audience, especially one that isn't familiar with Red Hood. Because, I mean, yeah, every comic fan knows who Red Hood is, but like, you tend to forget there's a lot of people going to these movies that don't know anything about the comics, and like, that's just normal. They have lives, they have other things they're into, and we need to, you know, they got to think about that, and they are. I mean, they definitely are. But I don't know. I think, yeah, if we're starting with Damian, definitely gotta start. If we're starting with Damian, we gotta show his whole thing. Like, we gotta start with him getting there. Like, we gotta start with him being horrible, like a little shit the whole time, and we've got to build up to that relationship, because I do think that is a good character arc, and I think it could be well developed, and maybe he could spin off into Teen Titans and stuff. I think he'll really need to start young though, like maybe get an actor that's like 9 or 10, and then we can, because we need to build up before we do like Teen Titans and stuff like that, and I think we need to get a couple movies in with him, because I feel like we wouldn't get Teen Titans if it wasn't Damian. I mean, we could get Titans, possibly. It could just be Titans, and I think this is an era of the DC universe that really needs to be done well. Honestly, in the comics too, because it hasn't been done well there in a while. The Teen Titans and the Titans, they were so important in the 80s and the 90s, and like, even the 2000s, maybe do Young Justice or something. We need the sidekicks to have a focus in the universe. We need them to have, you know, like relationships. I think the thing about DC that Marvel doesn't have, or at least doesn't do as well, is the legacy. The next generation, the moving forward. I know comics can only move forward so much, and like, you know, Bruce Wayne's always going to be Batman. I don't think he's ever going to age out of the role, but you know, he's had like 5 Robins at this point if you count Stephanie. He's gone through so many kids. He's grown up, and like, you know, Superman has a freaking, I mean, he was aged up but he has a kid, and these characters have actually grown. There's been like a couple generations since the Justice League. You know, there's been honestly, I think we're like on a 3rd generation past the Justice League, because we had Nightwing and like all the original sidekicks, and then there was like Tim Drake and like Young Justice, and then there's like Damian and like whoever the hell's on the Teen Titans now in those comics that aren't great. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I want to focus on, because if they actually can do that, if they can actually move forward with this stuff, and like these movies keep coming out for a while, we could really see some cool stuff. Time will actually move forward because these actors will actually age, and I think that could be really cool. You make us care about these characters as they're kids, and then they grow up. That's like what DC is about, I think, and I really think that would be really cool to see in live action. Other than that, I think there's a few characters that I have brief ideas on. Like Green Arrow would be cool to see as actual Green Arrow, not just Batman, but with a bow and arrow. Yeah, I think he's a really cool character. Give him a movie, or honestly, a show would work, but I don't know. Not one as long as Arrow. I don't think they would do that. They'd probably just do a season or 2. But I think definitely Green Arrow would be cool to see. Black Canary done right and not annoying as hell would be cool to see. Other than that, I mean, Aquaman. I forgot about Aquaman. Aquaman I don't feel super strongly about. He does have some good comics. I think I'd like to see an actual Aquaman, not like Jason Momoa's. It makes more sense for him to be Lobo. It definitely does, but Aquaman should be... Could we get a blonde person, please? Or just dye their hair blonde. It's not that hard. Like, genuinely. That's what I would have liked to see with Barry, too. But, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just like, there's only so many blonde superheroes, and I'd like to see that. But, you know, Aquaman, just more of a classic look. He acts more... I don't know. He's not trying to be super cool. He's Aquaman. I mean, he's a badass, but he's like, kind of like Superman, you know? Like, they're not cool, but they can be real. You can get behind them, you know, if it's a good story, especially with Superman. I mean, Superman's on a different league, but like Aquaman can be good too, you know? See some more Black Manta. Black Manta's good. And yeah, I guess he's not super important to the broader DC universe. He's kind of got his own world underwater, and that's kind of his little separate. But I do think he needs to be there, and I think they do need to do some stuff with him. Also, seeing Martian Manhunter would be really cool. I actually really like Martian Manhunter. He's really good character, and I think if they did something similar, maybe in like, when they do the first Justice League movie, they started with like that first story arc in the cartoon where like the white Martians invade Earth. I think that'd be really cool, and then you can introduce Martian Manhunter, and he can be kind of like the heart of the team, because I think that's where he thrives, is where, you know, he's got that like kind of loneliness, the last of his species, kind of like what they were trying to do with Superman with Zack Snyder, but like with Martian Manhunter, it makes more sense. And like, maybe even if they did, okay, I don't know how they would do this, but Absolute Martian Manhunter is so good. Maybe if they could incorporate some of that, maybe he's like a normal dude, and then he doesn't know that he's a Martian. He's got this like voice in his head, and he sees like the smoke and stuff, and it's like he slowly finds out he's a green Martian, and he's like in hiding or something. I don't know. That's not a spoiler to Absolute Martian Manhunter. We still don't know what's going on really in that book. But I think something in that way, so that you can get the classic Martian Manhunter, but also kind of do something interesting with his character. But I don't know. I think he's cool. Do him right. Give him his weird costume. Don't change it. Don't try to be cool. That's what I want with this universe. Keep all of the weird comic book shit in it, because we've we know now, especially after like the MCU, audiences can take it, man. Audiences like this weird stuff. Like we're so sick of like all the, oh, they're cool without the costume. Like give them a freaking leather jacket or something. You know, like we're done with that. We had that era, and it's over. Let's get the costumes in, please. Let's be accurate. And I think other than that, I just really hope that this universe is successful, it keeps going, and I just want to be able to show the people in my life that don't read comic books just how cool they can be, especially DC. Because there's like, it's been so annoying having to defend DC through the Zack Snyder stuff and like the MCU when it was at its height. It felt like saying I like DC more than Marvel, everyone was giving me weird looks. We're like, what, do you like those movies? I'm like, no. You know, I want it. I want the public to get it. That's all. That's really it. Just explore these different avenues. I like what James Gunn is doing. I like what he's saying about how he wants to just greenlight different projects based on the script rather than, I don't know, just shoving things out there. And I think just having different tones, different genres, different like ratings, do some R-rated stuff, just have these characters sometimes interact, but also, you know, there's a lot of different areas of the DC universe, and even in the comics, like I feel like they're less interconnected than Marvel. Marvel is all in the same city, so they kind of have to cross over. And even then, you're still asking, where was he when this was happening? I think you can pull it off because there's so many different, like there's the space area for Green Lantern. You get the ancient gods and Greece stuff with Wonder Woman. You get, you know, I mean, Superman, he has his own city with all these like space problems, and then you get like Batman, he has his own city, but it's more street level, living in like the worst city in the world. And then, you know, you get your area with Aquaman, he's underwater and he's got Atlantis, and then we got Green Arrow's got his own city. The Teen Titans, they usually are in their own city, depending on what comic run it is, it's different, but it's good to have variety. And also, that's how you keep audiences from getting bored. You know, if every project feels samey, then you get where Marvel is right now. So I think that's the goal, and I really do hope these creative people can get their ideas out without being stopped by like execs or being like fired or let go or whatever. I think James Gunn runs this creator first. I think this will be a huge success for everybody, because if you don't like one project, the next one will not be like the last one. And you can at least be like, maybe I'll like that one, you know? And then the universe can keep going, and we can keep getting these stories, and people can stop asking me why I like DC Comics more than Marvel. That's it, I guess.